wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Yes, it's the world's most dangerous morning show, The Breakfast Club. Charlamagne the God, Jess Hilarious. DJ Envy is not here today, but Loren LoRosa is in. And we got NYC mayoral candidate, Brad Landis is here. What's up, Brad?
It's great to be here.
I've been hearing your name so much. My man Chris Monroe speaks very, very, very highly of you, man. He said that you've been active in these streets in New York City, for a long time.
30 years now. Yeah, working hard. I came up together with Jumaane Williams. We've been doing a lot of work on affordable housing, on criminal justice, and trying to make the city work better for people.
What would you say to somebody who says Brad Landis is too soft for New York?
I mean, I don't know if you saw the video from me on Tuesday, but those ICE agents, that's what I look like. I might look like a nerdy controller, but I take on tough fights, and I don't back down to bullies.
If the city's future depended on cutting either NYPD overtime or tax subsidies for real estate developers, which one are you cutting first?
Can't we do both? Is there any reason we can't do both? I mean, NYPD overtime is in the mayor's control and is outrageous now, over $1 billion a year. Those tax subsidies mostly come in Albany, so the mayor has to go up there and attack that there.
What exactly do you do as comptroller?
Yeah, controller is both chief financial officer and chief accountability officer. So as financial officer, manage the pension funds. That's $275 billion. That's the retirement security of our teachers and school crossing guards and public hospital nurses and firefighters. We've had that grow by 10% last year, even as we divested fossil fuels, invested in affordable housing, and grew the percent being managed by Black and Latino and MWBE asset managers by 40%, by over $6 billion. So manage the city's money, invest in our infrastructure, oversee the budget. And then on the accountability side, audit every single city agency, show what's working and what's not working, how NYCHA can be run better. Look at corrupt contracts like a $432 million no-bid crony contract that the mayor gave to this for-profit company, Tagoe, for asylum seekers. Hold the administration accountable, make taxpayer money go further.
You talked about that ICE video. Your wife tweeted out explaining that you were escorting someone out of immigration court when that happened. Where's that now? Where does that stand after the arrest?
Yeah, so that was the third time I've been there. About a month ago, Department of Homeland Security changed the rules on people. These are folks who, asylum seekers, followed all the rules. They haven't committed any crimes. They asked to seek asylum. They show up for their hearing. They think they're going to get a chance to say, here's why I fear persecution if you deport me back to my country. And about a month ago, DHS said, nuh-uh, we're just going to strip you of your asylum seeker status. And then it's not even like a bailiff comes over. Your case is dismissed. You walk out of the courtroom. These folks don't speak English. And all of a sudden, this gang of folks not in uniforms, in masks, descend on them. And in some cases, rip husbands and wives apart. So what we've been doing is giving them some know your rights information so they just understand what's going on, bearing witness in the court in the nonviolent tradition, and then, yes, try to escort them out of the building so they could go back to their communities. And 5 times I had just been able to do that, go in the elevator down with people, once with a woman from Liberia, a couple people from Ecuador and Colombia, but this time that just gang of agents descended on the two of us, ripped us apart. I was only detained 4 hours. Edgardo is still in ICE detention. In that case, we found his family and are getting them hooked up with a lawyer. But most of the folks we're talking about don't have attorneys, and their families literally don't even know where they are.
I feel like a lot of that shit y'all do is performative. Like I'm watching a lot of these, Democrats get arrested by ICE. It's just like, all right, find something else to do. I feel like y'all just doing it for the attention.
So I'd love you to come down with me one time. I went back on Friday. I'm going again on Thursday. The times that have made me happy, well, when I was able to walk the families out of the building, and that joy that they had when they didn't get detained and we could get them on the train back to their families. I am down there for that. It's a group called Immigrant Arc that's asking people to come bear witness, provide some know your rights information, and help people, try to have their due process protected. So, I get that people are going to be suspicious of politicians. That's how the world is. I would just invite everyone, go to Immigrant Arc, sign up. I mean, our democracy is on the line. This is not just about our immigrant neighbors, although this is a city where 40% of New Yorkers are immigrants. They're coming for the rule of law and due process right now. If they are going to arrest a 50-something white elected official with a U.S. passport and say, quote unquote, they're looking to liberate democratic cities from their elected officials, who are they not going to come for? So, I mean, yeah, sure, nonviolent, witness bearing or civil disobedience or peaceful protest, they're visible. You have to do it in front of people. But this is a urgent moment, and I think it's a time to show up.
Why not focus on income disparity?
Believe me, I focus on
like
income disparity. So my office did the very first study ever of the racial wealth gap in New York. And what we found is it's 9-1 in the rest of the country, 15-1 here. Median white household in New York has a household net worth of $280,000. Median black household in New York, median net worth of about $18,000. So yes, my day-to-day job is focusing on how do we get home ownership for black and working class families up? How do we improve contracting for minority and women-owned businesses, the big asset and resource I have in the controller's office, the pension funds. I've increased by $6 billion in that way. And I'm running for mayor because that's what I want to do, is a more affordable city, a safer city, a more equal city, a better run city for working and middle-class folks. I have a plan that's a better deal for black New Yorkers that folks like Jumaane Williams and Khalil Anderson and Althea Stevens develop with me. Like, that's the job of the mayor, is to make this city more equal, give out real opportunity through education, through housing, through access to capital, through jobs and businesses. But we can't let ourselves get divided. I mean, Donald Trump is looking to scapegoat people and say to black and brown New Yorkers, the reason you don't have affordable housing or you don't have adequate child care, you don't have a well-run city, are either these trans folks or these immigrants. And that is just not the case. So yes, mayor has to stand up and fight on behalf of New Yorkers and has to govern the city more effectively to deliver for the New Yorkers who need it.
When you talk about the better deal for black New Yorkers, a lot of it is based obviously in the black communities. Who's helping you bridge the gap? Because also people probably look at you like you're coming into these communities where you're not from.
Yeah, I mean, so I've been proud for be fighting alongside other folks for many years. So when I came up in the council, I was, Jumaane Williams and I helped found the Progressive Caucus together. We passed the Community Safety Act together to try to eliminate discriminatory stop and frisk all the way when we got back in the city council, working alongside folks like Tish James. And then now there's this great crop of young black electeds like Assemblymember Khalil Anderson out in Southeast Queens, or Althea Stevens in the Bronx, who led an effort called the Black Print. So those are the folks who I'm working with, thinking about what my policies should be. Meantime, in the controller's office, we have this incredible team of people that look for the best talent in investment managers. And we found some incredible black investment managers. We were early investors, New York City pension funds, in Robert Smith of Vista, who's now, one of the wealthiest, black men in America. But we got young people too, black women, new investors. So you got to do the work. And I think if people look at my record as council member, where I helped desegregate the middle schools of my school district, as controller, where we've invested unprecedented amounts with investment managers of color. And let's be clear, they manage the money well. We are looking for the best managers. And of course, plenty of them are black or Latino or women. And if you look at my platform, I think you'll see, and who's supporting me in this race, that I'm serious about this work.
You mentioned trans. So let's say the subway breaks down, your car gets booted, and City Bike's down too. How do you get to work? What's your form of transportation?
Well, I live off the F train or the NR train, and that's, what my family takes, to work every day. Control is a citywide job, so, you have a car and driver. So that's my, I'm not going to lie to you. But I'm on the trains a couple times a week. And I definitely have the best transportation plan of any candidate in this race. I'm endorsed by the Streets PAC and a focus on making the buses run better, on making the trains safer.
What is it? What is the plan?
Well, my plan on the subway is to end street homelessness for folks with serious mental illness so that the trains are safer for everyone. And, I mean, of course, there's a role in the city for police to keep people safe, but no amount of policing will connect a mentally ill homeless person who's on the subway to stable housing and services. The policy for that is called Housing First, and they're using it effectively in Houston and Denver and Salt Lake City. Instead of pushing someone to go into shelter, which folks have often had bad experiences with, and they just stay on the street, you offer them a supportive housing unit or single room occupancy, And we've got enough of those units. We saw this in the pandemic when they gave people single rooms. A lot of people took them. We used this to end veterans homelessness about 15 years ago, veteran street homelessness. It will work. It'll make the trains feel safer and our city a lot more humane.
I love that. I think the police have to have mental health evaluations too, though.
I mean, I think probably we all need it. You know, I think elected officials definitely. I think the NYPD. I think, first responders. But of course, the place I would start, I guess, is with folks who are sleeping literally on the streets and subways.
I got a couple more questions. I know, Mayor Eric Adams has framed himself as the people's mayor. What's your counter pitch to the people?
Well, we all want to be the people's mayor. I mean, that's, it really is a question of how you can deliver for the people. And look, this is a city where no one can represent everyone. I mean, I'm the highest ranking Jewish elected official in New York City government. I'm not just running to represent Jews, although I love having raised my kids in this city. I mean, what this city has been for Jews when we came a century ago, fleeing poverty and war and violence, and found this city mostly welcoming and a place where you could, as a working class family, like kind of claw your way up. That's the tradition I understand, and that's why I try to be partner in civil rights struggle, and try to be partner in immigrant struggles, and try to be partners in bridges between Jews and Muslims. I said last night, Jews and Muslims are not going to be divided against each other. So what I've got is a bridge building, a coalition building strategy. That's why I'm proud to be part of this slate of candidates with Zohran Mamdani, Zellner Myrie, and Adrienne Adams, and all those other electeds we're talking about. It's by seeing each other, by building a coalition, and then having government that actually works to deliver, because all the promises in the world are not worth anything unless you can actually get the housing built and make the schools run well.
That is interesting because, you and Zohran did cross-endorse each other.
Did.
But there's a lot of Jewish people in New York who don't like Zohran. They think he's anti-Semitic. So how did that work?
Yeah, look, I mean, first I'll say our cross-endorsement is a recognition that Andrew Cuomo should not be anywhere near City Hall. And Cuomo has tried, like Trump has, to weaponize anti-Semitism and play on the fears of Jews. And look, this is a frightening time right now. Anti-Semitism is on the rise. I feel it after the killings in D.C. and what happened in Boulder. So I feel it myself, and I sure talk to other Jewish New Yorkers who feel it. But I think Andrew Cuomo is just looking to weaponize it for his own political purposes. I think that Assemblymember Mamdani is a person of decency and integrity who wants the best for all New Yorkers, including Jewish New Yorkers. And we don't agree on everything about Israel and Palestine. That is a complex issue for sure. But I believe that he will work hard to keep all New Yorkers safe, including Jewish New Yorkers. And that's part of why I'm supporting him.
How do you convince
as a second?
I'm sorry. But
no, just why I'm encouraging people to vote for him second.
How do you convince Jewish New Yorkers of that, though?
Well, he's, obviously he's got to do his own, conversation with Jewish New Yorkers. I can tell people that as I have gotten to know him and work with him, I feel a lot of respect. He asks about how Jewish New Yorkers are feeling and receiving things. Even today, he made clear in this debate around kind of the words globalize the Intifada that it's not language that he uses. Everyone is trying to balance in a tough situation. Boys, the period since October 7th has been unbearable for me and for many others, and nobody gets it 100% right. To me, the question is do you have a vision of shared humanity? Do you believe that every Israeli family who was killed or taken hostage on October 7th is a human being created in God's image and deserving of rights? And do you believe that every Palestinian kid in Gaza deserves to grow up safe and not be facing starvation and bombing? And then if you're the mayor of New York City, do you really want to be a mayor for all those people? And on the debate stage, Zohran was asked about speaking to Jews and gave a thoughtful answer. Cuomo was asked about speaking to Muslims, lied, couldn't remember the last time he had been to a mosque, didn't even try to reach out. So it is not easy to model shared humanity, but I have to say I am proud at this moment to be a Jewish New Yorker, cross-endorsing with a Muslim New Yorker, aiming for a model of shared humanity that says we want a city that is safe and thriving, where every family, look, all anybody wants is a home they can afford, in a neighborhood they love and feel safe in, with a good school for their kids that could help them grow and thrive in the world. And it doesn't matter if you're Jewish or Muslim or Catholic or Sikh or Black or white or Asian or Latino. I mean, it matters, but what matters for government is to see you, to want to protect you and to try to deliver those things.
I agree. But what would you say to Jewish New Yorkers who say, I can't support Brad Landers because he cross-endorsed Zoran?
I mean, I talk to Jewish New Yorkers of all kinds every day, and I find we've been having the same arguments for about 2,600 years. Mm-hmm. And I feel very strongly that the Jewish traditions say everybody's created in the image of God, and we try to work together across these lines of difference. And I would say Andrew Cuomo was a corrupt, abusive governor. He's running a corrupt, abusive campaign. He does not actually care, in my opinion, about the safety of Jews. He just sees us as a pawn to try to win this election. I think he should not be on your ballot. I would say rank Brad Lander first because, one, sure, if you care about, no one will fight harder than I will to keep this a city that's safe for Jewish families. And I would urge them to rank Zoran second or put them on their ballot somewhere because even though you might well disagree with him, as I do, on Israel and Palestine, I think he wants a city that all New Yorkers can afford and feel safe in. I would also say to people, look, it's your ballot. You got to decide how you wanna vote it. But I think a city that's looking forward toward something that's more inclusive will actually also make us all safer.
I just got two more questions because you made me think about it just now. You say you disagree with him on Israel and Palestine. So do you think what Israel is doing to Palestine, is that considered a genocide?
So I think it's war crimes. I think it's ethnic cleansing. I have long been a critic of Israel's occupation of the West Bank and Gaza since 1990. I've been criticizing it and calling for its end. I started calling for a ceasefire in early December of 2023, about 6 weeks after the war began, along with the return of the hostages. I do believe I'm inspired by the vision of Israel as a Jewish and democratic state that respects the rights of all its citizens. That requires an end to the occupation so that there can actually be mutual self-determination between Israelis and Palestinians. And thankfully, it's not the job of the mayor to achieve that. That is my vision. That's different from some others. I find on the word genocide that all I can hear is the Holocaust when you say it, and so I don't use that because I think as soon as you say it, that's where Jews go. And it's not that helpful to start comparing. To me, what's happening is atrocious. I've been calling for that ceasefire a long time. I want the hostages to come home. The hostage families mostly want an end to this war and a ceasefire and a resumption of aid. But I guess I'll just get back to, it makes me really sad that it has been hard to find people who want to equally recognize the humanity of both Israelis and Palestinians. And that really is my bottom line.
So you wouldn't call it a genocide?
I mean, there's the international courts are going to have their debate. I don't use that word because I find it closes ears rather than opens them. And I want to persuade people, can't we do better? Join me in Union Square, where I am most Sundays, calling for a ceasefire with a group called Israelis for Peace, who have been pushing every week for an end to the war. And we make real clear that we don't think there's a military solution, that we need a ceasefire, that every one of those kids deserves to grow up in peace.
So finish this sentence. If I blow this opportunity to lead NYC, it'll be because I didn't blank.
Because I was not good enough on TikTok and social media and the new forms of communication. Now you should look. Every one of my daughter's videos, with the exception of my arrest last Tuesday, does better than mine on my own TikTok. So young people are looking at new forms of communication and looking to be inspired. I know how to run the city well. I stand up for our values. I'll fight for New Yorkers. I don't back down to bullies. I'll be a great mayor, and I hope people will rank me first. And I am not maybe the most telegenic candidate that was ever created, but I'm proud of the race that my team and I have run. I'm really optimistic about the future of the city.
All right. Brad Landers, everybody. Make sure I don't know what to do. What do you do? Are they still doing the ranking thing? Vote tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow's election day. Oh, shit.
Early voting is done yesterday. No
Just
voting
said that.
today on Monday, but Tuesday is election day. The polls are open 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. This is your last chance to vote. Today, 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Tuesday is election day.
Yes.
Polls are open until 9 o'clock tonight. If you're
We're
in
gonna
line.
We're going to edit this tomorrow morning. So
Great. Okay.
Today
is election day.
Yes.
Go out and vote. I know it's hot. Actually, we were at National Action Network for the Saturday rally, and Spike was like, it's going to be do the right thing hot on election day. That's what he said. I was like, let's keep it calmer than
You gotta
that.
get some ice and rub it on your wife's nipples.
Indeed.
That happened to do the right thing. That's how they kept cool.
Charlamagne, you
Damn.
we voted in early voting, so.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
He like, she won't be there. Neither will her
Sorry.
nipples.
Oh, okay. It's Brad Landis. This is the Breakfast
I was
Club.
glad he knew what you
Thank
were
you.
talking about.
Wake that ass up.
In the morning.
The Breakfast Club.